Welcome to Spectrum Perspectives, real talk with parents, professionals, and autism advocates. With your host, Cindy Gellermini.
Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode. Today I'm going to sit down and chat with Pam Martorana, who runs the Binder Autism Center at St. Joseph's Hospital. It's an amazing program that not only puts all the doctors in one place, but they treat the whole family with family therapy and lots of fun activities for everyone. You're really going to enjoy this interview and Pam's love and enthusiasm for the families that she helps. Hi, everybody. This is Cindy, Robbie's mom, and we're here with another episode. And we've taken a little shift from speaking to parents of kids with autism to now talking to professionals. And today I am here with Pam Martorana, and she's going to tell you what she does. Pam, you tell me a little bit about who you are, what you do.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm the manager of St. Joseph's Children's Hospital clinical programs. And one of my programs is the Binder Autism Center. And our center is incredibly dynamic, it's comprehensive, but it's a systemic way to treat children diagnosed with autism and their families. So I'm very, very proud to say that the Binder Autism Center is now 5 years old. And we are in existence because of Steve and Sari Binder, an incredible family that has funded us to start the program.
Oh, okay. I was wondering where the name came from.
Yeah, I usually get that question. What is Binder? How does that have to do
Yeah,
with?
well, did they have a child with autism or?
So their story is pretty incredible. Their son is now, I think he's just about 30, if not, close to it. And when he was younger, mom knew that something was not happening. He wasn't hitting his milestones. And they went from pediatrician to ENT to other doctors. And no, it's this, it's his hearing, it's this. And she's saying, no, something's not right, something's not right. And then they're a Bergen County family. They landed here at St. Joseph's with our very own Dr. Joseph Hollihan, the medical director of our Child Development Center. And Dr. Hollihan identified him and diagnosed him as autistic. And it was a game changer. Mm-hmm. And then it was about resources and having an idea of what to do for Jesse. And it just changed their life. And out of gratitude and generosity, 5 years ago, they approached with wanting to be our donor and start a program for services for families specifically in the Patterson, Passaic County area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Robbie, I know where St. Joseph's is because Robbie had a surgery there once when he was little, when he was a baby. So, okay. But there was no autism center then.
Right now, yeah, we're in infancy stage. We're a toddler. We're 5.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what do you do specifically? Like, is it a group of doctors that specialize in autism, or?
So all of our patients or our families really come to us typically through the Child Development Center. And those are the neurodevelopmental pediatricians that evaluate and diagnose the kids. So they refer patients to us, the Binder Center, where the kids will benefit from all of the other services. So the Binder team is made up of clinical coordinator Kathleen Moran, who's an ABA, Applied Behavior Analyst, but also an RBT therapist. Carmen Valentin.
Is what? What is RBT?
The Registered Behavior Technician. I'm sorry, that's new in the field. So that's a new one.
Yeah, because ABA I know of, but I haven't heard of that yet.
Yeah, RBT is new. It's another certification, and it's all program driven. And we have Carmen, who is our team social worker, who's also an RBT. We have Hillary, who's also an RBT, and then we have our therapists that work with us. So it's a very comprehensive team, and what they do is an evaluation.
Therapist, when you say therapist, you mean like occupational therapist, physical therapist,
yes,
speech therapist, or
across the board. So
mental
therapist? Well, we have a foot in every pool, because on the team we have, the social worker and the artist right there. Then we have, because of where we are in St. Joseph's, we have access to our OT and PT from another division. We have speech in another division. When I say another division, the BAC sits in aisle A. These other therapists are in aisle C. So that's how closely we can get to them and make the referral and make the evaluations happen, so we can treat the whole patient. And what we do is we do an intake and we find out, what does this family need? So we have family support groups for the parents. We have about 5 to 7 parent presentations all year long on guardianship, transition, your child and school, sexuality and your child, all the different things. And those happen, and those are all free. Then we also
Oh, they're
do,
free. Wow.
these are free services for our families, our open support group. It happens every other Wednesday in English and Spanish.
Mhm.
So our families can check in. But then we also have, when we have our kids in, say, a social skills group, we have a corresponding parents group happening, because we want to be able to give the parents the tools they need to help support their children and what they're learning.
Right.
So if we're going to teach your kids new skills, you have to know what we're teaching them so you could support it and reinforce it at home.
Yeah.
So we call it parallel programming. So
Got it.
that we have the learner and we have the family.
Yeah.
We do a lot of sibling work, because it's not easy having a sibling who is autistic. It affects everybody in the family.
You have
So
to get
we-
that? You have to get the phone?
Oh, no, I'm just
Okay.
gonna, sorry, mute it. So we do all of the sibling work as well. We do groups with the siblings. We invite them to our events. We do huge events all year, big picnic to go back to school, big Christmas party, birthday party. And we invite the nuclear family is always involved. We don't want to exclude anyone.
Wow. Wow. I wish something like that existed when Robbie was little. So,
That's
you know,
exactly
I
what
sent him
Sarah-
off to school when he was 3 years old, and they did everything there at the school, and I didn't know, you know, there was no follow through at home, because we didn't know. Well, you know, now things are different, where ABA therapists are coming to the home.
Right,
You
very
know,
different world now.
we didn't have any of that back then, because Robbie would be 31 now.
Okay, so
He's
you're
the same
right in
age.
line with Sari, who says she didn't have any of this.
No,
Other
nothing.
families. So we do a lot of networking. We want our families to support one another, talk to one another, know one another, because no one knows what it's like unless you have that child.
This is why you and I connect, because we're on the same page, because this is what I was trying to say. I would put Robbie on a bus and send him to a school of all autistic kids, most of them nonverbal. Kids came from all over the state of New Jersey to go there. So it wasn't like they were all from my town.
Right.
Okay. And I didn't know any of the other parents.
How
And Robbie,
isolating.
no, it's very isolated. Robbie never went to a birthday party. We never had a birthday party because I
Right.
didn't know the kids to invite them, you know, and I didn't want a bunch of autistic kids in my house, honestly, to be honest though, you know, and I
Yeah.
didn't know the parents. And it's not like he's going out and playing soccer and you meet other parents, you know, you're very isolated. And so I had started a little support group a few years ago where I just got like about half a dozen moms together. And we all we were like, this is amazing. This is so great to meet other moms that, and you guys get it. You understand my life. And
You speak my
understand.
language.
Yes. And you just immediately have a bond because it's like, yeah, we're in the same boat,
Right.
you know, and it's huge,
Exactly.
but it dropped off because I had a hard time getting everybody to show up. Every time I
Okay.
tried to plan something, half of them couldn't come because of whatever. So I'm really happy to see that you're doing it and it's working.
Oh, absolutely. Or you're wait until you meet our parents on the in April for Autism Awareness Month. You're gonna love them. They are phenomenal. We are all virtual now, of course, right?
Yeah.
So we launched every program component on the virtual platform. So now we are doing virtual cooking lessons with our kids, but we also do cooking with the families, with the parents, to give them a little respite, and they love it.
Yeah.
They show up, husband and wife, prepared for their cooking lesson. We're doing science online with the kids, karate, yoga. In April, as a give back to our families, we're doing mindfulness for the parents, and we're going to do vision boards. We're doing it in English and Spanish. We have somebody facilitating it, because if we don't empower and educate our parents, then they're just going to get beaten down and not be able to advocate for their kids.
For
They are
sure.
better parents if we support them. So
Yeah.
that's what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's so great. So, and that's another thing that I always wish that I had with Robbie, because I would take him to different specialists for things. So he had neuropathy also. Eventually we figured that out, right? And he had really high arches in his feet. So I took him to one doctor that was like an orthopedist, and he wanted to do surgery on his feet, right? But then when I take him to the neurologist or whatever, they're like, no, he doesn't need that. It's da 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 da. And then I'd go back to the first doctor, and I said, well, this doctor said he doesn't need surgery, you know? And he says, well, of course he doesn't, because, you know, blah, blah, blah. And the other one says, well, of course he wants to do it because he's a surgeon. I'm like, could you guys just all be in one place and all talk about my son together instead of me being a ping pong ball?
And that's the difference right there. So when we, you know, so toe walking is so common with kids who are diagnosed with autism.
Yes.
But our OT and PT, because they are specific to pediatrics, they know that. So not only do they know that, but they know that orthotics are really effective. And they also have other interventions to give the parents, but they speak directly with the therapist from the BAC. So when we make a referral, we will walk the parent next door and say, this is who you're going to be meeting with. This is what's happening. And, you know, even with our speech therapist for the adaptive communication, right here on the same floor, everybody can look in the same chart and document and share the information. And it makes a world of difference.
That's huge.
Yeah,
It's
it really is.
Yeah, that's so good. So
I mean, everything that we do with them, and our families are incredibly loyal to us. You know, we started a bowling league. I guess our bowling league is now 4 years old. And all of a sudden, the first like few weeks, the parents would come to the bowling alley and not leave. And I would say to them, go get a cup of coffee, go do this, it's okay. But they had never left their child anywhere because that wasn't part of their life. Well, by the second year of the bowling league, our parents were pulling up out front. Johnny was getting out, coming into the bowling alley and waving to mom because they knew we had their kid and it was okay, and that it became normal.
Well, who's with them when they're bowling?
My team. So I have an incredible team. I can't even tell you. The Binder Autism Center team, they will do anything and everything. They are so creative and dedicated. And then I have an incredible group of volunteers, people from other departments that want to be involved. So my husband is a bowling coach. My former director was a bowling coach, and it allows the kids to interact with all different adults. Now they have to follow directions from different people. So it practices their social skills, it practices their listening skills, and it just became a great opportunity. So we just find really creative vehicles to deliver the service. So cooking, yoga, movement, karate, social skills, science groups. It might sound like, what is she doing with all these kids? No, it's all therapeutic. How we do it is different. Everything is meaningful.
Right.
So
what's the age?
Oh gosh. So we will start working with the kids 3 to 21, and we have to kind of transition them out. But if any of our doctors have a concern about even like a really young child, 2 or 3, we do small group work with the really young ones, a lot of mommy and me, because when you have a child, as you know, who is autistic, they don't play the same way. So now you have a toddler who you're having a hard time as a mother playing with. So we help you with that. So we have a dance program, and we have a huge recital at the end of the year in June over in Wayne at the YMCA. And, it's just incredible because here our parents are watching the kids on stage, and they're singing and they're doing moves and they're in costume, and they just like, wow, I never thought this would happen.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So I love it. I love everything about it. I never saw myself doing this in my own career. I'm a licensed professional counselor by trade and never worked with autistic children until 5 years ago when I saw a huge deficit and an opportunity at the hospital here to create a program.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you is what is your role? What's your, and you're a counselor.
Yeah, and being a family counselor, I think was the greatest gift because it always makes me look at it through the eyes of the family.
Right.
So we truly treat the family, because when you have a child diagnosed, whether it's autism, Down syndrome, cystic fibrosis, any significant developmental issue, it affects everybody in the family.
It does. And that's something I tried to hit on in my videos. I interviewed I have 4. Okay. So I had 2 girls, twins. Then Robbie was almost 5 years younger than them. And then 5 years later, I had my son. Wow. So they had very different relationships. So my daughters, Robbie was the baby brother. They always took care of him. They changed his diapers. They played with him. They took care of him, and they were very nurturing toward him. But for David, who was 5 years younger, total different relationship.
Yes.
And when he was in kindergarten, he's making new friends, and he would invite friends to come over, and Robbie's in the other room jumping, banging, making all these noises, and the kids were afraid, and they called their mothers to come pick them up.
Oh, wow.
And David, like for years, would never have friends come over after that, because he was embarrassed. And then when Robbie got older, he started having seizures, and we called 911 to come to the hospital. And he was getting traumatized, but I'm so focused on Robbie, making sure that I keep this kid alive, and getting him to the hospital and stuff, that I
I saw what was happening with David, but there was not really much I could do about it, you know, and I started seeing him become more shy. He was getting stomach aches, he was getting anxiety, you know, and that's when I really started to realize the effect on siblings.
It's amazing. Yeah.
You know, so I'm really happy to hear about that there's
Oh,
counseling for the families, and you're not forgetting about the siblings.
no, we do a lot of sibling work. So art is a really big component of our program.
Mhm.
And twice a year, we do an actual art show at the Patterson Museum, and they're gracious. They hang our artwork for, usually it's the Christmas season and then once in the spring.
Mhm.
And we always have a section of it dedicated to the siblings where we do art groups with the siblings. And then
Mhm.
we post their work as well, because
Yeah.
we really want to spend time with them. And when our families come to the door, the learners will see us and they recognize us too. But the siblings will look at us and they'll be like, Miss Pam, hi, hi. And I love that.
Yeah.
I love it, because then I'm like, okay, it's working. Because when these kids come walk to the door and know the team and be so comfortable and relaxed with us, that's what we want.
Yeah, that's great. That's
Yeah.
so great.
We
And
know
then
the
also,
grandmothers.
there's an 80% divorce rate, you know,
Yes.
of parents with kids with autism because it's so stressful, you
Yes.
know. And so, and again, I made that point in my books. You know, I tried to hit a lot of points, but in an easy to swallow way. You
Yeah.
know? And so there's 12 chapters. By the time we get to like the 10th chapter, the parents are bickering, you
Oh,
know, with each other. And the daughter says, are you splitting up? And she says, no way, my love, penguins mate for life, you know.
right.
But but in the mom's minute at the end, though, I mentioned that there's a really high divorce rate. It's very stressful on families, and I recommend that the families get therapy from early on, like right
Absolutely.
away from the beginning, because
Yeah.
this is going to be the most stressful thing that your family's ever going to go through.
That's right. And we agree with that 1,000%. We, like I said, with the couples work we do, we have events just for the mom and dads, and we'll say to them, we will help you find a babysitter, but we love your son, but he's not welcome this night.
Yeah.
Last year we had a Valentine's dance, and you didn't have to be a couple, just for all our families.
Mhm.
And we had a DJ. We were at the Brownstone, and our families came and ate and drank and danced all night, and they had a ball.
Yeah.
So we do that once a year. Right now we're doing the parent cooking groups where they're loving it. Then we do events just for the mothers,
Mhm.
but then just for the fathers.
Yeah.
We've done casino night. We go to the Jackals games, and it's just, dad, be with another dad who understands.
Yes.
Women tend to talk more. So I
Yeah.
could put my moms in a room and then we'll all be chatting it up. With the fathers, it's great to have something to do. So bowling works great, the casino night, the baseball game, and you know what? They will connect and they know one another, and it's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. And they might not they might not talk as much, but just knowing that the other dad gets what they're going
Exactly.
through is huge. I noticed that when Robbie when he was in early intervention in the beginning, we thought it was because he had ear infections and we thought he was hearing impaired, right? So his early intervention was with Summit Speech School. But we used to drop the kids off at the therapists. It was in the basement of a church, and then the parents would all go upstairs and we would all talk,
Great.
which was nice. But then when a year later, he started school and all that dropped off. Like I asked the school, I said, where's the parent group? Like there was none.
Right now.
There was no more communication. But what I noticed when I was in that group is that the dads had problems really accepting that there was something wrong with their child.
Very much so.
And it's kind of, it's like they're looking for their little mini me. And then it's like, it's kind of a blow to their ego, and that
Stolen
and then
moment.
they just sort of disconnect. I think I'm not a therapist. This is just how I'm very observant, and I'm like, that's the beginning of the problem right there, is the emotional disconnect. And then they'll just stay at work all the time and not come home and not want to deal with it and whatever.
Well, it becomes, I'm the provider, and I can still do that. I'm good at that. But now I don't know how to talk to my child. I don't know how to play with my child. And dads will look to connect with their kids many times with throwing the ball or, doing something physical. Well, now my kid doesn't want to know the ball. My kid wants to line up his trucks. So
Right.
what do I do?
Right.
So we really, bowling really taught us so much, because all of a sudden, not only were my mothers bringing their kids to bowling, but the fathers were. And then
Mhm.
if one of my coaches couldn't show up one week, I would say, hey, Carlo, can you coach this week? Oh, no, you're not coaching your son's team. I want you over there because I don't want to hinder what your son is going on, but I need
Right.
you. And
Right.
my fathers were stepping up more and more, that
Yeah.
my mothers were even noticing. They were like, do you see daddy brings him every week? I don't bring him anymore. So
Mhm.
we saw all of that, and that was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because that is something that they can do, you know? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I have one father who does yoga with his son each week. We do virtual yoga,
Mhm.
and it's great. The father is so into it with him,
Mhm.
and he loves doing it. And he's like, I can't take him to the gym. So, and I'm
Right.
like, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's terrific.
Yeah.
So yeah, you guys do a lot of stuff. You do all
Love
these activities and stuff.
Yeah.
And we also had talked about retreat weekends because
Yes, we need to do that.
yeah, I had done my women's networking group years ago. Somebody had opened a new salon and they invited all these women to come at night and for like a sample night. And we had champagne and, you know, we're all wearing our robes and we had a massage and all this. And a friend of mine was there. She's a mom of twins that both have autism.
Okay.
And I knew that her marriage was struggling on top of it. Okay.
Yes.
And to see her that night with the robe on, relaxing, getting a massage, laughing, smiling, it was like this light bulb moment for me. And I said, she needs this more than anybody.
Yeah.
And if I want to do that for women, I want to do like these retreat weekends. Like I want to rent out, I want to rent out Crystal Springs, you know,
Right.
like, and
Yeah.
I want all these moms to come up there and get massages and soak in
Yes.
the springs. And I want to have a comedian come because I want them to laugh and I want
No
a
doubt.
band so they can dance. I want them to have the best weekend of their life.
Yeah.
And just like you said, it's like, we'll get a babysitter for your kids. Like, you
Right.
know, I don't want money to be an object and I don't want babysitting to be an object. And I don't know how to pull this off, but maybe that's why that's why
Well,
maybe
you
everything
know,
aligned for me to meet you.
I think it did. I think it did. And I love that idea of Crystal Springs. I guess it was 2 years ago. So we do a trip, you know, like a class trip at the end of every summer. And
Mhm.
we've done the Bronx Zoo, Coney Island, all great places. And I rent a bus and we all meet downstairs in the parking lot. And
Mhm.
it is a full day. And one mother said to me, we were leaving, she said, Miss Pam, she said, your day trips are like my vacation.
Yeah.
This is like my vacation. And I said, you know what? You're right. So I
Mhm.
said to the team, guys, I said, we have a job to do. I said, we have to research. I picked Hershey Park because of the distance. I needed, if not free, the cheapest possible rate. And we
Mhm.
were going to put together an overnight, leaving Friday at 6, coming back Saturday at 6. And this was going to be a family one because they need help doing that with their kids.
Right.
The idea of going away with your child when they're autistic and you don't have a lot of control, that's tough.
Yeah.
So we were doing a family overnighter to Hershey Park and then never got to pull the trigger because of the state of the world.
Yeah.
But that was in our plans to do that with them.
Right.
You know,
Well, and again, that's an activity that they can do together.
right. And then that was leading us to, then we need to do it just for the mom, just for the dad, like to be able to start to split it up.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Planning trips are scary. You know, I remember when Robbie was little, he used to elope all the time, you know?
Right.
So, you know, and it takes one trip of taking him to the beach where he takes off them like, that's it. We're not going to the beach for another 15 years because
Right,
I'm not
exactly.
doing it, you know?
Yeah.
I was afraid to,
Right.
you know, of all these things that could go wrong. But I think if you go as a whole group, I think that makes it
Safety and
much less
numbers.
scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did Museum of Natural History. We did, like I said, the Bronx Zoo, and then we did Coney Island. And Coney Island, after we did the aquarium, everybody had free time on the boardwalk, and they had 2 hours. And they know me really well, so I was like, "Listen, be back at this pavilion at 4 o'clock, or else you're hitching home because I got to get everybody else home."
Mhm.
Everybody was there,
Yeah.
but so many of my families went on the beach, and probably about 6 kids for the first time in their life saw the ocean that day.
Oh, wow.
So it was, they were like, we've never taken them. We're too afraid.
Yeah.
They were together. They went on together and they had safety in numbers.
Right.
And it's so incredible, these messages that they give to me and tell me, because
Mhm.
it's things I've been going to the beach my whole life. My
Yeah.
mother didn't worry about it like these mothers.
Right.
So for them to say that was just something. And even walking on the boardwalk,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Because you're afraid they're going to get lost or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah, so we did all things like that, and it really is so much fun. And we have a great opportunity because thankfully, like I said, we have a great donor, and we apply for grants, and we work with Autism Speaks, and we if it's
Yeah, okay,
out
so
there,
you're
we
answering
go
my
after.
next question because I was going to ask you, how do you pay for all of these things?
So thankfully, we have our great donor who's incredibly generous to us, but we work on sustainability every day. So our foundation office is really good about grant writing. So they'll call me and say, "Hey, Pam, Autism Speaks has a $5,000 grant. No problem. What do you want?" So
Mhm.
I just applied for one to fund our yoga program through the summer.
Mhm.
And last year, we actually earned two of them from Autism Speaks. So $10,000 might not sound like a mountain of money, but that is enough for me to sponsor a program component for 2 months. I'll take it.
Mhm.
I'll go after it all day long.
Right.
So we look for grant opportunities, of course, billing for services, any way we can stay sustainable.
Right.
So
Right.
it's really it's incredible what's out there if you just have the perseverance to go after it and find it and look for it. There's a lot of free resources through Autism Services New Jersey. They're wonderful. They will post events and do things for us. Autism Speaks, very easy to work with. So we partner with our community providers and services as much as we can as well.
Hmm. What is the name of your program?
The Binder Autism Center at St. Joseph's Children's Hospital.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna write that
Yeah.
on the bottom. So,
Okay.
so you're up north. So do you service only a certain area?
We don't turn anyone away. And let's say if you had a child today, but your child wasn't a patient of the St. Joseph's Child Development Center,
Mhm.
you could still participate in our activities and resources. The BAC would do an intake, assess what your child needed in terms of group, if he was ready for group, if so, what group. We would offer the parent all of the resources there. We never ask you to leave your team or to come and only work with our providers. So we will work with everyone. So we have families from Bergen County. We have a family from Sussex County who did bowling with us and so many program activities because they didn't have it in their area. So they would drive an hour, 45 minutes to an hour to Patterson to do art therapy, to do bowling, to come to
Mhm.
our Christmas parties because they didn't have it.
Right.
So we
Yeah,
don't
because that's what I'm thinking for, some of the moms I've interviewed are, they're down the shore, and I'm like to come from Monmouth all the way up there,
but with
it's kind of,
virtual, it doesn't make a difference.
there you go.
They would have to come up to have us do an intake with their
Mhm.
child, but then for virtual services, you could be doing yoga in Montana with my kid in Patterson. It doesn't make a
Yeah,
difference.
that's true. You're right. You're right. So
So
really, anybody that's watching this, if they want to be part of it, they can just, so how do they get in touch with you?
so they can actually just the best way would probably be to send me an email because then I can disseminate it to the appropriate team. Or I always say I'm still a fan of the telephone. They can call me 973-754-4302. Get the ball rolling. I will give my coordinator your name. We do intakes and then we take it from there.
Awesome. All right,
Yeah.
good. Yeah, because you never know who's going to watch this video and they're going to say, they could live in Wisconsin and they'll be like, oh my
Right.
gosh, this is amazing. I wish they had something like that near me. But if it's all virtual, that opens up a world of
Yeah.
possibilities. So they can just call you and talk to you. Well, I don't know. Well, I guess you could do an intake over Zoom like this, right? I mean, you can ask them questions. I don't know.
Yes, we would. And primarily, we like to have them come in for the intake, but if they're in a different, state and they really want to participate in something, we
Mhm.
would be creative and use Zoom and also a good parent history and then observing the child because Zoom allows us also to observe. We could ask the mother, try to play a game or let's see, something happening and we'll observe.
Mhm.
And a parent support group is open to everyone. So there could be a mother in Wisconsin who's never been part of a support group and she can show up every Wednesday.
Right.
And that's not even about her kid, that's about her.
Right.
So things like that. So it's all available.
So do you do like group counseling or?
So the open support groups are basic support groups, but then also themed. So Carmen, the social worker, does a great job of, she'll have an attorney in twice a year to talk about guardianship, to talk about, your child's IEP, their individualized education plan. So they become educational as well. Sometimes it's really just about how difficult your day could be, and that's more of the therapeutic support component. Some days it's just going to be about what are the skills as a parent when somebody asks you that hard question in the middle of ShopRite, how do you answer that? And helping them kind of build up their toolbox. So it really depends on what the conversation is for the week. And then we have, like I said, our focused parent workshops, which will be on all different things. So in April, we have one coming up on guardianship. We have yours. We have an open support, and then we're ending the month with family bingo night, where we play bingo virtually with the parents and the kids, and then we mail them their prizes, and they love
Oh,
it.
that's cute.
Yeah,
Cute.
because we got to have fun. They have to have fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we do a lot of that. Today is today's Tuesday, so today the kids will be cooking. We have cooking groups happening this afternoon, or we have an outside chef teaching them basic kitchen skills, and it's a tiered program, so they'll start in cooking 1, and after they master baseline skills, then they can go on to cooking 2 and things like that.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask who does the cooking. So you have a chef
So
do that?
we have a chef, and also Kathleen, our coordinator, does a portion of it as well. And baking is huge. We baked Christmas cookies. For some reason, we got stuck on the 12 days of cookies. So we did cookies all month long, and we had all these guest bakers, some doctors from the hospital, my cousin and my aunt, anybody who said they like to bake. I'm like, great, what week do you want? And they all showed up, and they all did it. And the parents come and they pick up all their ingredients that they need. We don't want to create a hardship.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, do you give them an ingredient list ahead of time? You actually get the ingredients for them, and then they just have to pick it up?
Yep.
Wow.
And then what they have to do is work with their learner, because that's how we practice measuring. That's how we practice baking. That's how we practice fine motor skills, rolling out a cookie. So that's when I say it's a very different vehicle that we use to deliver the service. And we have a ball. Thanksgiving, we made pies. We just, whatever's coming up, we use the natural calendar as an opportunity to deliver a service.
Wow, you have lots of stuff going on there.
Yeah, we really do. All the time.
That's
all
so great. Yeah, because I've been so worried about these kids with COVID, being stuck home and not being able to go to school, and what are they doing?
Yes, exactly. I'm worried about Mother's Day, because I usually do a big Mother's Day event at the Brownstone, and the mothers come out, and it's a great night. And I do tons of giveaways, and Sari Binder always talks. Well, I can't do that this year. So we bought beautiful teacups, and we're going to put bags of tea in them, and some biscotti cookies. And we're going to send all of our parents who want to participate are going to pick one up. And that night we're going to teach them how to bake biscotti, but we're giving them some cookies ahead of time. So as our cookies are baking, we could all be together in the room talking and networking. So we're going to have a Mother's Day.
That's really nice. Yeah. I'm just thinking of all the holidays that were not holidays.
Right.
They just weren't, because families don't invite you to come over, and because it's just many different reasons, and you're just always home and isolated and alone. And it's very, I can, very easy to get depressed and, have little pity parties for yourself and stuff.
Definitely.
So you can be part of a group. I think that's just, and everybody's in the same boat as you. It's, I could see it potentially becoming like another family almost.
It absolutely does. When our families see each other, some of them have forged friendships outside of our group, but when they see each other, they're so happy.
Yeah.
We usually do a big Christmas party at the Brownstone, and we have incredibly generous people. So we have a group out of Rockland County that comes every year and brings presents for us. On the Border Restaurant in Paramus does a huge toy drive for us every year. The Girl Scouts. So our families come, my husband plays Santa, and every kid sits on Santa's lap or close to Santa if they don't want to get on the lap, and they leave with presents, but so do the siblings.
Yeah.
And so it's this amazing night. So now here it is COVID. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
So we got in touch with Demarest Farms up in Bergen County, and he gave us a pretty good discount. And we invited all of our families to come there because they have an animated light show that you drive through.
Oh, yeah.
So our families pulled up. We gave them their presents that were donated to us. We got to see each and every one of them. Me and the team were out there in our Santa hats and everything. And we got to see about 43 of our families. They all got to go to this amazing light show, something they would have never done.
Right.
And we still got to have a Christmas experience with them, but they had something special during this very hard time.
Yeah.
And they loved it. When I was there, I said to the owner of Demarest Farms, I said, listen, I'm here at Christmas. I said, but I have a gardening program. That's another program we have. I said, I want to bring the kids up here to your farm one day. And he said, no problem. What do you want? He said, I will work with you. He goes, you want to bring them up here for a day, 2 days? I said, yes. I said, let's get through this and I will call you. I want you to do an educational day on the farm with them. And he said, okay.
Nice.
So we'll do that. There's an opportunity everywhere. You just got to be a little brazen and ask.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, right? Like reaching out to you, I was like, I need to meet her. I'm writing your name down.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I'm so glad. Thanks to Heather for creating that connection, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's so great. All right. So anything else that you want to add?
I think we're good. I think we're, I look forward to you meeting my families, not just on Zoom, but another in-person event, because I think that you standing up at one of my Mother's Day's events would be really impactful. Last year I had Temple Grandin. She spoke, she and I became great friends last year. And she did a series of 4 for me in April, and she was phenomenal. So my plan is next April, I'll plant the seed with you now. We are going to have our symposium, and Temple's going to speak and her mother's going to speak, and also other mothers of children. So Sari Binder, and I'll have you speak to our families, because it has to be about coming back together and the parent experience of raising a child with autism. And who better to hear it from but mothers, but also Temple. So I think it's going to be really powerful.
Yeah. That's great. That's great.
So.
Good. I'd love to do that.
Good. So that's our plan. But in the meantime, we're going to plan a retreat.
Yes. Yeah. I just,
even if we start with one day.
COVID nonsense to be over so that we can, really plan something like that,
Absolutely.
But it's nice to kind of meet people online first, though, and make connections. And then when you actually meet in person, I think it would be good.
Definitely.
So.
Definitely.
All right, Pam, thank you so much for joining.
Oh, you're so welcome.
I really appreciate it. And
no problem. Thank you. And then we'll chat, and I'm going to order your books.
Okay, awesome.
All right. Thanks.
Okay, bye-bye.
Right, bye.
That's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed listening and it helped you gain a new perspective. To see the video version of the show, go to our YouTube channel, Robbie and Me, Autism Reality. If you're interested in buying our book series, Robbie's World and His Spectrum of Adventures, the link will be in our episode description, as well as my Instagram and Facebook pages. If you enjoyed the show and you'd like more content, please be sure to hit that like button, follow us, and don't forget to leave us a great review. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to join us again on our next episode of Spectrum Perspectives.
Thank you for joining us today. Be sure to join us again on our next episode of Spectrum Perspectives.